WCLN 1170 Radio and Cable Channel 16 are pleased to present We Should Know, hosted by J.W. Simmons, an upbeat, informative look at people, places, and issues facing our community. This education-based analysis of issues will remain positive and informative as we consider closely what we should know.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Thank you for being with us again this week. Each and every week we come to you on Tuesday, 2:30. Every week, and it's a replay at 7 p.m. Tuesday, Thursday on Star Communications Channel 16, also uploaded to YouTube for your viewing. No matter where you are in the world, we like to remind you, you can reach us at weshouldknowedu@gmail.com. The email address is weshouldknowedu@gmail.com. Your comments is always invaluable to us and to what we do in the future. We're talking with a person today that's just taken on a new challenge, should I say, and Tammy, Laurence, thank you for being with us. You're the Executive Director of the Chamber of Commerce right here in the city of Clinton and Sampson County.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I was looking at your background, and you've done so much in your career. You've completed leadership programs at Harvard Business School, John F. Kennedy School of Government, Duke University, North Carolina State University. You got a master's in public administration. You come academically qualified. You also come to us from Knoxville, Tennessee.
Yes, I do.
By all means. My opening question was going to be, how did you get to Clinton from Knoxville, Tennessee? Then I saw your husband's background in the military.
Military does it.
You've been everywhere.
It's true.
You've been everywhere.
We've been all over the world.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful because you learn so many things wherever you are. You know, we have this saying in our family. It is, wherever you are, be all there. Mm-hmm. And so we've truly done that. And we've learned little bits and pieces that we've carried with us along the way. And then when you get to be my young age, then you have a lot to bring to a community. And you appreciate what that community has to bring to you as well.
I saw a picture of you, and it was posed perfectly and in front of a background picture, and the caption on the background picture was "Follow Your Dreams."
Yeah.
I don't know whether you noticed or whether that was planned or not, but that was an interesting kind of thing, and my idea was to open with that and say, are you still following your dreams?
Yes, I am. And that came from my home office, and I brought it to my office at the Chamber, because not only am I following my dreams, I want everyone that we work with, our entrepreneurs, our small businesses, even our large industry, to follow their dreams. We want them to be everything that they can possibly be.
I first met you, and I'll share with our listeners and viewers that I first met you when you were in the position in the leadership with Habitat for Humanities.
Yes.
Of which that's a whole program that at the very first time I met you, I thought, I got to have you on and talk about that. Mm-hmm. And then I discovered you had this. But that program, and so much you've done with that program, to help people that literally, it was a way of giving them an opportunity. People that were literally saw no way out. They were disenfranchised in many ways, and suddenly there they were with the opportunity of a new home, of the capability of a new future for them and their families. It's almost like you planted a plant that's going to grow forever.
Well, and you know, the tagline that Habitat has is a hand up and not a handout, and that's something that I really believe in. Mm-hmm. You help people help themselves. And these families that qualify for the Habitat homes, they work hard. They pay a mortgage just like everyone else, and they have to build their homes. So I think that is the first start in a community, is helping to produce homeowners. You start building your tax base, you start helping them to feel a part of a community. They own something, and for the first time with Habitat, it's a home. And so rewarding work, tremendous work, challenging work. And in so many ways, it has prepared me for this work, you know, because community and economic development are so hand in hand. So building homes and building businesses really can go together. They should be going together as we're working to build our community. And so Habitat, when I was there, we faced enormous challenges because we had 2 hurricanes that hit under my leadership, and the first was Hurricane Matthew. We had 101 of our Habitat homes destroyed. So I learned quickly how to do triage and how to get large groups of people together for a short period of time to rebuild homes and to get it done, and we did that. And so now we're facing COVID-19, and I'm thinking, wow, here's another leadership challenge. But I think that this is a community that's ready for it, and I think as we continue to look at how we're growing our communities, we can equip our small businesses, our homeowners, our large businesses, for whatever the challenges are, and turn those into opportunities.
Let's talk about that for a minute. I wanted to go there. I'm glad you brought it up, the whole idea of what we're facing now with this global pandemic and how it kind of trickles to this point in a rural county and the eastern part of a state that has a lot of agricultural benefits and relationships. As you look at it from this new position, it's almost like you've been given the challenge of being the executive director of Chamber. At the same time, you've been given the challenge of weathering a storm that you didn't bring on. Give us the feeling and what you see, and how agile have you got to be to get through this? Do you see a window out? Do you see a door open? Do you see some possibilities that maybe none of us are seeing yet?
You know, there's definitely a window out. There's always a window out. So let me back up to how we faced the crisis with the hurricane. We had 101 homes destroyed. Those families were wondering how they were going to get a home back. It was at that time I realized we have to work together collaboratively to help each other, to weather the storm, to build back, and to build better. And so what we did at that time, and I was able to pursue this more so in graduate school, with looking at how does collective impact, building collective impact projects affect your community through a crisis and into a bigger future. And so what we did was I put together a collective impact team with collaborators through the city of Fayetteville, the state of North Carolina, Habitat for Humanity, individual donors, Habitat International, just a whole group that we came together and said, look, we're going to collaborate and we're going to work through this together, leveraging resources and tapping into new resources that we know that are going to be coming through the federal level, through the state level. So we did that. And what came out of it, not only were we able to rebuild those 101 homes, we were also able to build a 47-home community of new homes that's being built right now as we are sitting here. And that came about because we learned how to get through the storm together, what can we learn from this lesson, and how to move forward. So when I look at this COVID-19 situation, how are we going to weather this together? I go back to looking at the collective impact. So we know, we see on a daily basis, these are resources that are being released through the federal government. These are coming through the state. And so educating the community, and the Chamber is doing that today. We've sent out several resource documents to say this is where you can go to apply for small business loans, to help your workers with unemployment, all sorts of things. But come together as our neighbors, collaboratively, and say, how do we figure out how we're going to not just weather this economic storm and health crisis, how are we going to come out on the other side and be better? So I have a few ideas on how we can do that, and I think the Chamber is poised to help our small employees, our small businesses especially, to do this. So some of the advice that I would give to the small businesses would be, if you are not connected to the internet, if you don't know about e-commerce, if you don't know how to grow your business electronically, that's something that you need to know. Because I think of Soaps by Jess, one of our local companies. So Jess has her storefront in Clinton. She also has an e-commerce. So she's able to keep her business somewhat going during these difficult times because she has another mechanism. We want all of our businesses to have that type of mechanism, and maybe so coming together collaboratively to host webinars and workshops and bring Jess in to say, can you teach our other small businesses how to do that? How do we help them? And I think also looking for every resource that we can possibly get and leverage those resources in a strategic way that benefits our small business community, our young entrepreneurs that truly have that follow your dream, we want to do this and we want to do this now. So I do think that there is going to be a way out. I think it's going to take some rethinking, and it's going to take we got to look at this differently. We can't just sit at home and twiddle our thumbs. Oh, we can't go to work today. Well, no, we can't. We have to respect, the mandates before us. But what we can do is say, okay, this is what I have. What do I need to learn from this to help me if this happens again? And how do I survive this? And so we can also talk about some ways that they can survive this challenge. But challenges are going to always be there. When you look at the hurricanes that have struck North Carolina over the last 3 years, these were 500-year hurricanes, and they're hitting back to back within 2 or 3 years. I think that there is a lesson, and we need to learn how to handle disasters. This COVID-19 is a disaster. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It is a disaster. And so we've got to learn from it, and then we have to learn how to move beyond it if we're going to be successful in the future.
These are the kinds of things that I really want to get into to kind of, I guess, get your ideas and input for not only for the area, but for folks that are in business that may be listening. I want to kind of move that dial a little bit and talk a little bit about how critically important the broadband issue is.
Yes.
As far as connectivity. I know Wilson has recently gone through that, and they've been touting how important that was, and it actually brings people into the area. So what I would suggest is maybe we'll go to our next break. Then after that break, we'll come back just so folks will know what we're looking at to try maybe look at some of these issues, and also, Tammy, to think about some of the challenges that the chamber maybe you see is facing that you're going to need, and to your word, that collaborative kind of help with to move the needle, because it takes a whole village. So yes, we'll take a break and we'll be back on that. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for being with us. We'll be back in a moment. We're talking with Tammy Laurence, the Executive Director of the Clinton-Sampson County Chamber of Commerce. Call a friend, stay tuned.
Experiencing slow internet? If you have a fast internet package, the problem is most likely your wireless router. With more devices using Wi-Fi, your wireless router may not be able to deliver the speed and coverage you need. We now have the leading solution to enhance your internet experience. Using small devices in a mesh network, these Wi-Fi appliances cover just about any size home so that all your devices can operate to their fullest potential. Whole home Wi-Fi from Star Communications. Get the most out of your internet connection.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We're talking with Tammy Laurence, Executive Director of the Clinton-Sampson Chamber of Commerce. Tammy, thank you so much for being with us. When we went to break, we were talking about some of the challenges, some of the things that you're looking at that can kind of help bring things together, particularly as it relates to COVID-19. This virus is certainly not only a global pandemic, but it's a local pandemic as well. Sometimes when I hear the word global, I think, wait a minute, let's get this back to where ground level. Yeah, get it granular where we can see it. One of the things that we were talking about a bit on break was this idea of technology and broadband. One of the things you pointed out, which I think is so perfect, is that we are now in a world that oftentimes people will come to an area anticipating the same broadband capability that they left from previously. It may have been Wake County, it might have been Greensboro, somewhere like that, and they all of a sudden find themselves in an area that doesn't have it, and they go, what just happened? Their world was disconnected. I mean, it is literally both emotionally, business-wise, financially, it disconnects people. How critical is that for us, not only in the city of Clinton, but throughout the county? I know Star Communications is rapidly pushing forward with that to make a lot more people connected. How critically is it, do you see, for small business development, for continuation of small business, for in times of a pandemic, to be able to continue to sell products and services?
Look, if we don't have it in the smaller communities in the county where we need it most, then we're going to be at an economic disadvantage. Not only are we at an economic disadvantage, people are not going to want to move here. We want to grow our communities. This is a beautiful place to live. Our farmers need it. If we want to be able to have a global trade opportunity that is locally, that is agriculturally based, we've got to have broadband. How are we going to sell to these other countries or places that are beyond our borders if we can't connect with them? And I know I've heard that a lot of people refer to it thinking in social terms. I get that. But it is economically needed. We have to have it to live in these smaller communities. To not have it, we can't compete. There's no way that we can compete with other places that have this advantage that we don't have. So we've got to do it. One of the things that I'm hoping that we can start doing with the Chamber, and I've done a lot of research, before I accepted the Chamber job, and how does it line up with what I'm truly passionate about, helping communities understand their identity and growing, building collective impact projects to help communities grow economically. And chambers are doing so much more than they used to be doing. They are getting very organized. They're using subject matter expertise to go to Washington and to go to the state and say, this is our voice, and we are coming together in a strong way to advocate for our community, and this is what we need. And so that's one of the things I really want to see our chamber step up and be able to do, and to take our knowledge with data. I'm a big data person. I want to get data. I want to be able to make decisions on data, and take that data forward to our legislators in Raleigh and in Congress to say, don't forget about us at the granular level. Don't forget about our farming communities. Don't forget about what we are doing for this state and for this country. Sampson County is the largest county in North Carolina. We have a tremendous amount to offer, not only the state, but beyond our borders. And I think we can realize that if we have the tools that we need and the voices at the table, backed by data, to show what it is that we can do if we're given the opportunity to do that.
One of the things that we spoke to briefly off air was this idea of where Sampson County is located, and its geography, particularly its proximity. When you look at that county map, and you had some interesting observations with that. And with that said, and the connectivity issue, there seems to be a tie with that, because we're now probably moving more and more, and maybe after this crisis is over with, we may discover new ways that technology could enhance and expand our business that if this had not happened, we would not have.
Right.
Speaks to some of those things.
Yeah, and I think that does raise that awareness on how are we getting the messaging out. How are our folks that are without broadband getting the messaging that we need to get to them that could be critical to their health? It's an absolute necessity. And I think back about our location. I think about in my graduate program, we took different counties and we studied different counties, and there was one guy in my class, and he studied the Garner community. And he talked about how, when all of the expansion started happening in the Triangle, Garner really wanted to maintain that small town identity. Yeah. And then they realized what they were going to be missing if they didn't, take advantage of some of that opportunity. And so when you look at the growth of Garner as it's coming down, into Newton Grove and into heading our direction down 40, growth is coming our way. It's going to continue to expand. We are in a wonderful location. We've got 40, we've got 24, we've got a straight shot into Fayetteville. We've got a straight shot up the highway, up 40 to Raleigh, down the highway to Wilmington. This is a great location. This is a wonderful place to build a stop on the way and find out that we really are a great place that you might want to plant your feet and stay. So we have to be able to offer the services that these other places are already possessing.
Is there a natural segue there to economic development as well? Oh,
of course. It's all about economic development. I mean, if you wanted to sell this and take it to, let's just use maybe a fast food or someone. We've really not looked at that 40 corridor coming into Clinton. But there's a lot of land out that the farmers own that's heading up to 40 to get on 40. There's opportunities there to look at expanding that with small businesses, with food, with restaurants, because people can get off that Clinton exit. They can come into Clinton or that Newton Grove exit, and they can get off and they can go visit a great restaurant, and they can have convenience and food, and they can look around and do some shopping. There's great economic opportunities to develop that area, that whole corridor.
It's, again, kind of a granular thing here, but and we've used that word a couple of times, but what we're really talking about is how it fits on the ground in Sampson County. As you look at that and think about that corridor, say, for example, coming from Newton Grove on US 701, and you did point out there's a lot of opportunity there. Does the traffic studies and the number of vehicles equate to considered information for new business developments of various kinds?
Absolutely.
Because I've had many people tell me that the traffic just from Clinton to Newton Grove or coming off of there on 701 is just tremendous. It is
tremendous. Drive down the road and you see all the cars.
I've noticed that.
But I think, and this is where, when we go into these meetings, when we go into these opportunities with data, that's critical. You know, one of the things that Monday, the chamber that we're sending out to our members is a series of questions. What we're trying to get at is help us understand how COVID-19 has affected your business, your employees, you, the community, because we want to start gathering the data at the granular level so that when the time comes for the state or the nation to look at resources, they're not just looking at aggregated data that covers a broad, band. They're looking at these smaller, granular areas like our counties. I heard Dr. Deborah Burks on the news last night talking about the data, and she said, we want to get granular. We want to know county by county in every state how this is affecting. Well, we've got to be capturing that data so that we are prepared, so that when they want to look at Sampson County, we say this is what how it's affected us. These are the resources that we are going to need to recover and have a strong voice. And if we have the data captured, it strengthens your voice tremendously.
When I hear you talk, it causes me to wonder, and certainly I don't, but I'm wondering if we know enough about our existing businesses, particularly some of our larger businesses, about employability, the kinds of things that they use, the materials they have to have. And I'm thinking of anything from, for example, Smithfield Foods, Shineway operation out of China, to Prestige Farms, a family-owned company, to Hogslat, which is in a number of other countries.
Yes, it is.
It's tremendous. For someone looking at a small business development, is it good for them to look at these larger operations and say, how can I develop something that would be an advantage to them?
I think it is, and I think we want to create pipelines. So let's start with, let's say we have an entrepreneur that wants to grow into a small business. We have a small business that wants to grow into an industry. So if we can build in that knowledge, that mentorship of understanding, this is what it's going to take. This is how you're going to get there. These are what your employees, these are the skill sets your employees are going to need. Then we know more about how we can help one another along that pipeline and to create back to the follow your dreams, to follow and be what you want to be. It is an enormous benefit to the community because we are growing businesses. We are starting them out in that pipeline as an entrepreneur, and those that want to grow, we can provide the tools through asking those questions. And before COVID-19 and just coming on the chamber, I've only been there about 2 weeks now, I had a list of all of the industry providers that I wanted to meet with. And now I can't do it. Now it's going to be phone calls and asking some of those very targeted questions.
We're going to take another break. We're going to come back and hopefully expand that discussion because, during this time we might find some folks that discover a new business they want to open.
I hope so.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back in a moment. We're talking to the Executive Director of the Clinton-Sampson Chamber of Commerce, Tammy Laurence. I hope you're enjoying this as much as I am, and we'll be back in one moment. Call a friend.
You come out to replace a bad sensor, and that adds a 5-year commitment to my contract, and you don't tell me? Here's your sign.
Switch to the sign that's keeping homes secure and customers happy all over the area. Security from Star Communications. We pride ourselves on fair pricing and quick, friendly service every time.
Somebody trying to break into this place?
Security from Star Communications.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Thank you for being with us. I want to remind you, you can also send us an email to weshouldknowedu@gmail.com. Or if you decide to send us a postcard or drop us a letter or a note, a suggestion about a show upcoming or a comment about a show we've had, you can send that to Post Office Box 1482, Clinton, North Carolina. That's Post Office Box 1482, Clinton, North Carolina. And our guest today is Tammy Laurence, Executive Director of Chamber of Commerce. Tammy, I guess that being from Clinton, I should say Clinton, North Carolina, but I tend to articulate that, and probably you'll probably change your speech a little bit hanging around with us too. So.
Thank you. Please help me with that.
Absolutely. Thank you for being with us anyway. Yes, we went off air in the other for break. You were talking about the larger corporate businesses here, of which we have a lot. We've talked a little bit about the segue of the chamber and economic development and how all it kind of comes together. It kind of purges at a time. These larger businesses, for folks that are listening to us, one of the things that we've seen happening with COVID-19 is that businesses are now adapting to developing and making products in such an amazingly short period of time that was not their primary goal. Mm-hmm. So an outcome of this COVID-19 thing could show us the, should I say, the agility of corporations and businesses?
Well, that's our history. You know, we learn how to be adaptable. We learn agility. We have to be. I mean, the history of our nation is all about agility. And so that adaptation is something that we're going to have to do. We're going to continue to do that. You know, we were talking on break a little bit about how some of the farmers in this region have not been able to put a seed in the ground for 3 years because of the back-to-back hurricanes. Well, we just need to find a different seed. You know, what can we grow now that we can't, that we used to grow that we can't grow, and so what can we grow now? And look at those possibilities. And you know, we were also talking a little bit about how some small businesses want to grow their industry. Well, they're never going to be, you know, hog slat, or they're never going to be that big industry, but they can be who they are. Mm-hmm. And it helps build, you know, the business for hog slat. It helps build the business for other industries when we all can work together. We're truly building out and offering our population, our homeowners, our renters, our people that live here, versatility. They have more to choose from. There's more reason to move to Clinton. So, yeah, you know, yeah. but you know, that they all connect together.
The area, we've seen the statistics in Wake County. One of the things that was just recently, as of yesterday, I was looking at, there's still like an influx of folks, 60 to 75 people per day, mm-hmm. looking places to stay, new businesses coming to town. I mean, even with this outbreak over the past 2 weeks, there's still a big boom in the housing market in Wake County. Yeah. What is that qualifier from the seat you sit in with the chamber now? What is that qualifier that you think we need to kind of make shine brighter, that would cause folks to say, hey, maybe we ought to consider this county down the road here that's only 50, 55 minutes from Raleigh? What is that kind of thing we need to be doing? And help us think out of the box with that. And I say that with some sense of the reality that you have not been in this box, so you can help us see what's outside of it much better.
Yeah. What is your quality of life?
Yeah.
So you want to live in an area that has a good quality of life. You want to have economic opportunities, but you also want to be able to have socializing opportunities. You want to be able to meet up with your friends. You want to be able to establish those relationships. We are seeing, if you looked at a map of the migration that's coming in to, like, say, the Raleigh area, you're looking at a lot of people from New York and Pennsylvania, and even the Midwest are coming in. So eventually, we want them to start looking into moving into Clinton. Now, what do we have to offer? Ask anyone that has graduated from college, that left Clinton, went to college somewhere, but they're back. Why did you come back? It wasn't just their family, because they wanted this quality of life. They wanted their children to grow up with these values. We need to recognize our identity. And that identity, we can promote that identity, that we are a community that values our faith, that values one another, that values conversations, that values getting together. And we work together in the community to solve issues, to solve problems as they come along, because that's what good neighbors do. So when you look at what draws people to your community, you first have to know, what is your identity? You know, if you don't know who you are, how are you going to get other people to appreciate you for what you are and what you offer them? So, and that's something that I feel very passionate about, is helping communities know who they are and to grow from that, to expand from that, because then you can start saying, you know what? We have a lot of artisans here. You know, I was at the Main Street Conference last week, and it was incredible to see what a lot of smaller communities have done to create their identity, to showcase that identity, and they're booming. They are just booming. You know, New Bern, the conference was in New Bern. New Bern was devastated by the hurricanes. They were very smart in what they did. They took those resources, they leveraged those resources, they came back very quickly, and they were able to benefit from the resources for the future, similar to what we did at Habitat for Humanity to build the other community. We have to know how to leverage those resources, use those resources, and help turn that into, this is who we are. So when I went to New Bern last week, I'd never been before, I learned who New Bern is. New Bern is right there on the water, beautiful place, but it's also a very strong community.
And a historic location.
Very historic and very strong. And it was just, you know, they came back strong, and look at them. You know, they knew they came back strong. And they're building economic opportunity even today. I mean, they're still growing. And so that was a really good lesson to come away and see, you know, when these other communities learn who they are and can effectively communicate and understand what that community needs in order to grow and to be who it is. We don't need to be Raleigh, because we're fabulous the way we are. So what we need to be is who we are in the best version of ourselves.
I'm sold. I think one of the stories that you have said and told a number of times is the situation with your husband when you first came, and he was riding a bike and had a issue, and you talked about how important it was for you as the community came together with you and your church community.
Yeah.
That's kind of the sense that I hear you saying, that this sense of compassion and caring and feeling is part of the identity, core values of that community.
Exactly. I mean, if we had been in Raleigh, we could have easily gotten lost, I think. You know, it's true, my husband was on his Peloton. He pushed the limit too much. He had a subarachnoid hemorrhage. Sampson Memorial Hospital will always be in my heart. I love them. They did a phenomenal job. They knew their capabilities. They knew triage. They knew they had to get him out fast. He was airlifted to Duke, saved his life. They got him to Duke ICU, the brain ICU unit. He got the help that he needed in the time that he needed, and he made a full recovery. But during that time, those darkest moments, those 13 days he was in ICU, that we didn't know if he was going to live or die. We had no idea. You know, the kids and I were there praying and wondering. We were never alone. People from this community, and we're brand new to this community, came, and they didn't have answers either, but they just sat with us. They put their arms around us. They cried with us. They brought us food. You know, they took care of my dogs when I was not able to do it. These are people that you want to be your neighbors. We have a lot to offer because you can't find that just anywhere anymore.
I think you just described the importance that we offer, whether it's a global pandemic or a local pandemic. Those are the kinds of things that, to me, settles my anxiety when I think about I would not want to be anywhere else other than where I am right now.
Yeah.
With this, all of this thing going on and these constant briefings we're getting and the states of emergencies that have occurred from DC down to the local level, it's reassuring to hear someone like you that has a real objective view to kind of confirm what many of us have thought for a long time.
It can look scary, and it is scary, but we cannot let that fear affect who we are, because we're going to rise above this. We're going to get past it. We have to be cautious. We have to do, what we need to do to get through it. Mm-hmm. But we also have to realize that we're not alone, that we are all in this together. And if we are working together and watching out for each other, then we don't have to be afraid, because no one's going to fall through the cracks. And I feel very confident in that. I feel that there's great mechanisms in place for how we are checking on each other. But then going back to broadband, we need that to make sure that people that are in the more isolated areas are able to get those alerts and understand what they need to do. And
I asked a question at a show last week I did about the connectivity we had now. We do have a number of people that's using that to telecommunicate with their medical providers and those kinds of things. So I think that's critically important as we look at it as well.
Absolutely, it is.
So I think going forward, what I want to do, kind of as we move to this last segment, is get some ideas about what you see not only as challenges but opportunities that you're looking at as the leader of the chamber now, and kind of what those feelings are, so folks can start saying, I might want to tap into that. So after we come back from this break, maybe we can touch on that a bit as we go into the last segment.
Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you again for being with us. I hope you're enjoying the conversation we're having with our chamber executive here in Clinton, Tammy Laurence. Call a friend, stay tuned, last segment coming up.
To get the most out of your electronic devices, you need a strong internet connection and a protected home Wi-Fi network. You need high-speed internet from Star. Star has the fastest, most affordable high-speed internet service available for all your devices. We have no long-term contracts or high-pressure sales. Our service speaks for itself, and switching is hassle-free. We take care of everything with free installation from a local company. High-speed internet from Star. Internet at the speed of life.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. My name is J.W. Simmons. The name of the show is We Should Know. We're talking with Tammy Laurence, the Executive Director of the Chamber of Commerce. Tammy, again, thank you for being with us. We're coming up on our last segment. I want to kind of open that door for you to talk about some of the things that you're looking at that are challenges, opportunities, and as to your point you've made a number of times, is that it's now a different chamber. Leadership change in the chamber changes the chamber. So tell us what that chamber looks like with Tammy Laurence and that leadership.
That's a tongue twister. I'm not even going to attempt to say that.
It takes a while to practice that to get that.
There are a lot of changes coming at the chamber. We knew that we needed to change. When the board reached out to me and said, we want to do things differently, and we hear that you've got a specialty in community economic development, we want to do our part for this community and be able to provide that to our businesses. So I thought through that. Well, what could we do that would look not just different, but would be different, and that we could offer members. So the big things that we want to offer more opportunities for collaboration. We want to offer webinars and how to start your small business, keep it growing. We want to bring in subject matter experts that will help you. We want to host luncheons with our legislators so that they can get into our community and understand, what our questions and understand what's being done for our communities. So we want to be able to provide that. We want to be able to provide extra benefits that chamber members haven't gotten before. Benefits, they've gotten some workman's comp benefits, but we want to provide telecommunications, discounts on computer hardware. We want to be able to provide members to come together and do discounts one-on-one just for chamber members so that they can get better benefits and better opportunities to sell their goods. Mm-hmm. But we also want to create those pipelines for entrepreneurs. So we want to find out who wants to create their business, and then the chamber will be partnering with the community college, with the city, whomever else that we can, to create some of these opportunities for our entrepreneurs. And so when we look at what this community could be, what are some great agriculture type industries that we could maybe start promoting? So other areas have done things like incubator kitchens. So we are looking at that and how we could leverage funds to do that and space. Also looking at maybe a city market, where we have vendors can sell their goods to one like city grocer that's downtown, and they do home deliveries. How critical would that be during this time? From the products that are grown locally. So I think getting people at the table, looking at how we keep our identity, how we expand opportunities for small businesses, I think that's going to be critical, and I think the chamber can play a major role in that. We can bring industry leaders in to have conferences. We can talk about tech-savvy webinars on how to grow your website into an interaction with your customer base. We want to be able to do that because that's the future. If you can't connect with your customers, even when they're just not walking through the front door, it's going to hinder you. So we want to be able to offer these types of services to our chamber members so that they can grow, they can expand. But the big thing too, JW, is we want to listen. We want to hear from our small businesses, our big industry. What do you need? What is it that you need, and how do we get it? Because if we know what you need, then we can sit down and map out an idea on how we can go after it. And it may take a little bit of time, but we can start that ball going. And I think, as I said earlier, chambers are doing a lot more than they used to do, many years ago. They're understanding the power in that collaboration. They're understanding that they have a very strong voice at the national level, at the state level. They're very connected. When you look at our membership, it's very connected outside of the borders in order to get things done. We all know someone who knows someone, who knows someone that can help us achieve those goals. And so the big piece is, how are we connecting that dot? How are we doing that? And I think it is about industry attraction. Of course we want to attract industry here, but what is the plan on how to do that? What is the plan on getting, the farmers to think differently about what seed they're putting in the ground, or maybe allowing this parcel of land to be rented out, or, something like that, instead of being sold? How can we benefit one another and still have a really big win for the communities? So I think there's just great opportunities. And as a chamber, I think, we get in this mindset of thinking about our businesses, and we should. But my heart is always with the people. Always. It always will be. It goes back to my Habitat days. Mm-hmm. If we are taking care of the people that are the least of these, that are at the bottom rung of where they need to be, then we're doing something right. So we've got to create businesses that think about all people, about everyone in our community. And we are going to be setting up some committees that will be very focused on our Latino population. We have a large Native American population. We want to make sure that they're at the table. We want all of our voices heard at the table, every single one, because that's how we're better. When you have diverse ways of looking and problem solving, you are such a rich community. And so we are going to be doing a lot of that building in our chamber, where we have those committees, the younger generation, a lot of women-led businesses. We want to hear from them. We want to showcase them, because we want other people to say, you know what, it's about all of us. It's about raising all of us up. You know, the one taco stand that's on the corner that wants to be the restaurant, we can do that. Or the fish fry, or, you know, whatever. We want to be able to have everyone at the table to learn how to do this together, so we can offer this community so much more and expand. And if we can reach everyone, which I know is a big, but I'm a believer in doing big things. So I think we are definitely going to be doing things differently. We're already doing things differently. We're already thinking differently. There's no box, you know. Mm-hmm. There's not even a box to be outside of. There's no box anymore.
No boundaries.
There's no boundaries. As we hear all the time, over and over, everything is on the table.
Mm-hmm. So these pathways of opportunities that you are alluding, and I kind of chose to use that phrase because that's what it sounds like. These pathways, not only are you looking at it as a leadership role, but you're also looking at it for an input role. So would you encourage people to contact your office if they've got an idea, or after hearing the show, they might say, well, I want to talk to you further about, I don't know, you mentioned a home delivery program, or how would this work? That networking with the chamber becomes a magnifier for them?
Yeah, call us. Go to our website, actually go to our email us. So the email is info@clinton-sampson-chamber.org. Okay. info@clinton-sampson-chamber.org. Call us and leave a message, 910-592-6177. We will call you back. Now, our offices, we are in and out with the reduced hours.
Right.
We are still working behind the scenes. We are still there, even though our doors are closed to the public. We are answering all phone calls. We are sending resources out via our email listing. If you're not on that email list, need to get on it, because we sent a bunch of resources out today. The survey is going out on Monday and helping us to gather data. So definitely get connected. Call, even ask for me. And my email address is Laurence, LAURENCE, @clinton-sampson-chamber.org.
One more time.
Laurence, LAURENCE, @clinton-sampson-chamber.org.
So you get an email and it says, you know, I heard you talking on We Should Know, and I've got this idea how we can deliver, I don't know, fresh fruit to 20 people in 4 hours. The expectation, I think, today is changing on how we do things. The curve that this pandemic is already turning for us, when we come out the other end of this thing, do you see that opportunity being magnified?
Absolutely. So the way I look at it is, right now, we've got an opportunity to get organized, get ready, because we are going to get through it, and then let's go. Let's be ready to launch. I know that's what we're doing at the chamber. A lot of work is being done behind the scenes, and as we come out of this and the businesses are ready, this is an opportunity for you. These resources available for you. This is what we can do for you. We want to do it. I think other businesses can do that and be ready, because they've got to make up a lot of lost time. They've got to make up a lot of lost revenue. You know, they've got to recover. And so the way to recover is use this time wisely. Think about what you don't have that you need. Let's communicate what you need to those who can help you get it. And let's get the resources into your hands so that when this is over, you're ready to go. Not only have the resources, but know how to use those resources so you're ready to go. Do you need a website? What do you need? Do you need a new phone line? What do you need in order to get you where you need to go? Because this is going to pass. We are going to get past this, and our economy is going to bounce back. I know we've lost a lot. I see the stock market, I see the Dow Jones just like everybody else, and think, wow, there goes my 401. You know, everyone does that. But I also know the hope that we're going to get back.
Well, we've come to closing time. I want to thank you for being with us. And also, I want to thank you for maybe allowing everybody to understand that not only are you following your dream, but you will help them follow their dream as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you
for tuning in to this week's episode of We Should Know with host J.W. Simmons. If you have a question, comment, or suggestion regarding this or any episode, please send your emails to weshouldknowedu@gmail.com. And remember to tune in every Tuesday at 2:30 for another informative episode of We Should Know.